Hey guys, and welcome to Respect Your Intellect. I'm John, and in this video we'll be responding to D-Marble that talks about YouTube censoring videos that promote the flat earth. Let's get started. Before we start, I'll put up a link to his full video in the description if you want to see it uninterrupted. But now let's hear what he has to say.
We're well into 2019 and the Orwellian nightmare continues. Just the other day on January 25th, YouTube on their official blog released a statement on how they will be dealing with recommendations here on in. Let's take a look at that. We'll continue that work this year, including taking a closer look at how we can reduce the spread of content that comes close to but doesn't quite cross the line of violating our community guidelines. To that end, we'll begin reducing recommendations of borderline content and content that could misinform users in harmful ways, such as videos promoting a phony miracle cure for a serious illness, claiming the earth is flat, or making blatantly false claims about historic events like 9/11. Now, I'm pretty sure that these trolls out here, these professional paid flat earth debunker channels, are all dancing in the streets with this news, but on the other side of that, you have to ask yourself, people, guys, if flat earth is so ridiculous, and if it's been debunked so many times, if it's so foolish and so ignorant to even think that the earth is flat, or people are talking about the earth is flat, well, what's the point in censoring? Why reduce recommendations for that content? Unless we were on to something.
Alright, so I'm not sure about the dancing in the streets part. I think it's a good thing that big companies are starting to crack down on the misinformation that's out there, but I suspect that channels that are dedicated to debunking the flat earth argument will still be affected by this. So I don't think anyone is going to really be happy about having their views reduced, but there's definitely some good to come out of limiting the amount of misinformation that's being put out there. Now the next part is the main point. Why censor it if it's so foolish unless you were onto something? So let's start by establishing the fact that you are not onto something. The flat earth argument preys on the uneducated and fails miserably at every single turn. You guys can't conduct any experiment that's well controlled because you're always trying to blatantly manipulate the results in your favor. Nothing you do stands up to any kind of scrutiny at all. And when you perform your experiments, they're so easily debunked that a lot of people are doing it without videos and illustrations. They simply write down all the problems in the comments. On top of that, you guys are never using science properly. You use scientific terms without understanding how they work. You use science extremely selectively only when you think it'll benefit you. You use phenomenons to make your points that are never consistent and always change their behavior depending on which question you're answering, and the list goes on and on and on. Also, you guys deny absolutely everything that doesn't agree with you. In science, we never pick and choose what we use. We always use every bit of information that's available, and that not only includes but encourages the use of anything that opposes a premise. The reason why these sorts of things are starting to be censored is because they are, simply put, harmful. If you want to know more about how ridiculous this flat earth conspiracy theory is, go check out my other video right here on the history of our discoveries about our place in the universe. Maybe you'll start to get a glimpse at just how much of history you have to deny to make this claim. Things like this that promote willful ignorance and mistrust are the reason why things like the 2016 elections in the US resulted in having a president in office that pretty much only has negative traits and can't even hold his own party's support. These types of things can greatly impact the course of a country's development, or even global development for that matter. Let's see what else he has to say.
Is that the problem? Is that it? You guys need help from Big Brother to take us down, to try to slow us down? I don't think it's going to work, but okay.
Well, in a way, you're not wrong there. With your stance of constant denial about everything, you're mostly all totally beyond reasoning with. It's like when KKK members undergo DNA tests, and when they see the evidence that they're not as white as they thought, they simply deny it and shrug it off in an attempt to keep their beliefs intact. Conversations can't even really be had with you guys because it's only one way, and you're more interested in hearing yourselves and laughing at physics you don't understand than trying to learn anything at all. Platforms like YouTube make it extremely easy to spread misinformation, so it's also platforms like YouTube that need to become more responsible and help control the misinformation to avoid disasters. There's only so much the rest of us can do, since it's easier for you guys to spread ignorance than it is for us to teach the intricacies of science. You also say that you don't think it's gonna work, but really, they're not totally censoring you or removing your content. All they're doing is not promoting it in the same way that they used to. In their post, they say that it's borderline content, and I agree. I think it's harmful. It promotes a ton of negative things like ignorance and mistrust, but it's not something I would really want to start controlling free speech over, because free speech has more importance. Keep in mind that science is responsible for extending and improving our lives by so much that it would be hard to even put into words. Without science, you'd be an old man close to dying at 40 years old or less, and that entire lifetime would be extremely uncomfortable and stressful compared to today. Anything that attempts to hurt science by using ignorance and the gullibility of people is something that can be harmful even globally. And don't say that you like science, because every action you guys take is an affront to the scientific method. I have a video specifically about that right here as well. Let's continue.
I mean, you can continue trying to convince everybody that they live on a ball of water, as the, depiction here shows. And yeah, it's not to scale. Yes, the waves are huge. Yes, it does look ridiculous, because the idea of water sticking to a ball and spinning is stupid. Yeah, what you're seeing right now, that's pretty much what you're saying you believe in. It looks stupid, doesn't it? Yeah, because it is. I agree. No, the waves are too big. Yeah, yet and still, you believe that water can stick to the outside of a spinning ball out in space, and it looks ridiculous, and it sounds ridiculous when you actually think about it.
Now, here's a good example of what I meant earlier about you guys laughing at the physics you don't understand. You guys are so incredibly narrow-minded that you leave absolutely no place for information to come in and stick. You're more concerned with protecting your fantasy than learning anything at all. But if you don't learn these things, one thing is certain: nothing will change and you'll always remain uneducated. I think you guys keep imagining that science should be straightforward, but it's far from that. There are a lot of things going on all at once everywhere you look. I mean, honestly, a lot of flat earthers I've seen can't even distinguish what up and down is. They can't grasp that down is not a direction in space, but simply a direction towards the pull of gravity. How can you hope to reason with someone who's completely unwilling to learn what up and down is? That's way more laughable than the way gravity works. Let's continue.
But a lot of people aren't thinking about it. But a lot of people will. And that's where the backfiring is going to come in. There's already some backfiring taking place. There are people who aren't even flat earthers, who still believe in the globe, who are starting to question why YouTube would even have to come out and censor flat earth. And they're just being blatant about it now. So, this is just going to feed the fire, I'm guessing.
I still think that that's better than letting you guys keep preying on the gullibility of people. Not that many people have a deep understanding of science, and it leaves them ill-equipped to refute some arguments. You guys take full advantage of that and hook them in. Even if some people question it, I think it's still better than giving you free rein at exploiting these people and promoting ignorance. Let's continue.
But beyond that, there's an idea for a solution, and I kind of got this idea from watching Red Pill Philosophy. So what's going on here is they're going to be censoring flat earth specific videos. So if your title says flat earth, chances are it's going to be lower on the recommendation list. Now, I was watching one of Red Pill's videos the other day, and I don't even think it was pertaining to flat earth, but at the end he goes on to say, oh, by the way, just a reminder, there is zero proof that the earth is actually a spinning ball. So that's something that we can do. As a solution, we can make videos on other topics, dealing with other content, regardless of whatever it is, and then at the end, at some point, just throw it out there, by the way, the earth is flat.
This is another good example of how unreasonable you guys are. You guys keep denying pictures from space because you say it's CGI and photoshopped. But the blue marble picture was taken in 1972, which was 18 years before Photoshop. It was also 1 year before the very first 2D CGI was used in the movie Westworld in 1973. That was extremely pixelated too and had to be done using film. Nothing was digital. Not to mention that there were even more pictures taken before that from satellites. You also keep saying that there's no proof of curvature, but that's just something you keep saying. There are literally thousands of experiments you can perform yourself to see the curve. So you're just absolutely dishonest about that. There's no other way to put it. You claim to hate being lied to, yet you guys lie so much you even lie to yourselves most of the time. Let's continue.
Just a, just a recommendation or, an idea. We got to get creative as far as how we're going to combat this whole thing, because it seems like we're in a little battle with the system, and the system does not want the world to know that the earth is flat for some reason or another. So let's continue bucking the system in our own special way. So what I'll be doing is something like that, or I'll try to incorporate that if I can remember to do so, is make content about things other than flat earth, and then just toss some flat earth out there, because it all takes place on the flat earth anyway, so might as well.
Oh yeah, that reminds me, we haven't talked about all the paranoia in your movement. Honestly, I don't know how you guys are able to walk forward since you have to constantly be watching your back like that. That's pretty much all I had to say on this topic for now, so I'll conclude by saying that you guys should stop looking for hidden meanings where there are none. Sometimes things are just like they seem, and right now, this is just being limited because the level of ignorance in the Flat Earth movement is simply unparalleled, and it should not be helped by easy advertising. If you like this video and want more content like this, please like and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions about what you'd like to talk about, put it down in the comments below or come follow me on Twitter or Facebook. Links are in the description. Until next time, thanks for watching, and remember, respect your intellect.